So show of hands or just chats, how many of you guys played Avowed? How many of you guys in chat played Avowed? I played it. I thought it was pretty good. There were plenty of things I would tweak and, you know, a handful of problems and stuff. And I had many bugs with it. Thankfully, it seems like I was one of the only people that had a ton of problems, but you know, I seem to absorb a lot of the bugs for most people. But Avowed similarly did pretty well. And it seemed that Xbox was pretty pleased with the performance and was pretty happy with how they did. However, like it's almost assumed that they probably greenlit a sequel and that they're working on that. There's been some little hints and nods that maybe they were doing that, but some interesting news just dropped, which is interesting. Avowed director has quit. Carrie Patel has quit Obsidian just months after Avowed's launch. She was the director on Avowed, and she's left after working there for like 12 years. And she is moving over, as you can see here in the statement. I'm happy to share that I'm starting a new position as game director at Night School, a Netflix game studio. I mean, we've all heard of like Netflix games being a thing and that they are spending money on stuff. I don't think we've seen any of their stuff. Maybe they have. If they, oh, they did. I think they did do like a big MMO, didn't they? I don't remember which one it was, but I'm guessing this is probably financially a thing, you know, like I'm sure they gave some stock options, which are kind of hard to turn down. So it's probably a business move. Can't say I blame her because I've heard rumblings of how much Netflix pays people and we're in the wrong line of work, fam. Just being honest. Netflix, they just throw money around like it's candy. But Night School is most famous for its Oxenfree series of games, the most recent being 2023's Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals. The Netflix-owned studio launched Black Mirror spin-off Thronglets earlier this year. Around the same time, it suffered an unknown number of layoffs. Months before, Netflix completely shut down another one of its studios working on a AAA project headed up by Halo veteran Joseph Staten. Patel had been a veteran of Avowed, developer Obsidian, and over 11 years worked in various senior positions on games such as Xbox sci-fi RPG The Outer Worlds and Pillars of Eternity. More recently, Patel had taken the reins on directing Avowed after the game was rebooted in its early development. Avowed had initially been planned with a dark fantasy setting closer to Elder Scrolls with one big open world and multiplayer co-op. The co-op stuff you can still feel, it's still very present in the game. Ultimately, Patel steered the game to launch as a brighter, more unique looking experience, now featuring multi-large individual maps to explore and an entirely single player experience. And I think, you know, considering it started as like a multiplayer co-op game, I think it turned out pretty good, frankly, but they definitely, you could feel some of the remnants there. But she's left and moved on and is going to work at this Netflix studio. And some people have twisted this and tried to be like, oh, see, this is an indication that Avowed flopped or was a failure or anything. Like, if anything, it's kind of an example of the opposite, because most people who direct flops don't immediately get handed like another directorial position at a big company like, you know, a Netflix game studio. It's not that common. I mean, maybe there's something behind the scenes where like she's being told, hey, we're going to let you go. And she goes, finds another job or something, maybe. But most metrics seem to indicate that Avowed did pretty well. And Xbox was pretty pleased with its performance and its engagement levels and stuff. And she just leveraged that success into a job offer from this new company. And she's moving on. So kind of crazy. There you go. I was surprised to see it because I would have thought that they would have just handed her the reins for a sequel and said, go make Avowed 2. But maybe that still happens just with a new director or whatever. But it is surprising to see her leave pretty much immediately. But I'm guessing, like we said earlier, I'm guessing it's because there's a fat paycheck sitting right next to that job offer. That would be my guess. Netflix games obviously a heart and soul situation. Yeah, exactly. People are just really passionate about Netflix games. That's the thing. That's it. I don't understand why people still want to frame Avowed as a flop. I mean, I'm sure it's like the same thing with Shadows. It's like the cultural thing, or cultural debates and scandals and stuff. I don't know. I'm like, if it's a game that launched on Game Pass and a lot of people played and liked it, that's good. I'm sorry you didn't like some of the people that worked on it, but that shouldn't really, in my opinion, that shouldn't affect your evaluation of the game. Like if you're just evaluating it as a game, You know, it's unfair for a publication like Polygon or IGN to bash Black Myth Wukong because they don't like some of the developers on it, because they think they made too many crude jokes online. I don't think it's fair to say, oh, because these people who make crude jokes online or crude poems or whatever it was, therefore the entire game needs to be thrown out, like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like, these 3 people said things I didn't like online, therefore shut the game down. I just don't think that sort of Puritan attitude is healthy in any sort of, you know, creative medium or industry. It's like, it's just not helpful.